La 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 la. Cool. Is that working? That looks like it's working. Right, I'm gonna go grab my cup of tea. Oh, hello, hello. Be right back. Oh, 1 second. I'm trying to sort out my parents getting access to Netflix. Blah, blah, blah. Can't fucking remember my password, can I? Who's a silly monkey? It's me. Netflix. Okay. Really? That password? Okay. Wait 1 second, I'm just going to sort my parents out on Netflix and then I'll be right back. Oh, right. Bloody. Oh, who really wants headphones? Hmm? There we go. Hello. I'm BoredGamer. Parents are downstairs trying to look after my dad at the moment, and just got an update to my internet, and they replaced the box, and I was setting Netflix up back on the TV because I was like, well, if my parents are here all the time, they might as well have all the channels that are available. I got them the biggest TV package I could, and then I need to set Netflix back up. But I forgot my password, and now Netflix won't load, and so I'll sort it out after I stream. I'm gonna sneeze. I'm dead. We're all dead. You're all infected. GG. I've got no toilet roll, and now I'm dead. So that's the sort of stuff I've been reading in the media recently. I went on a plane on the weekend. 2 planes. I went up to Leeds Bradford Airport. to one of my best mates in the world, Kit, or Sian, her hen party, who was, you know, very progressive hen party, inviting all of her male chums. We've got quite a small, close-knit group of friends. So, like, as we've grown older, sort of like, it's harder to genuinely trust people, and sort of like you want to, sort of, you've got your best mates, and I haven't got time for lots and lots of random mates. Like, I want to spend time with people I like spending time with when it's like IRL. Like, very rarely away from the PC. And so we've got a close group, close-knit group of friends. So she invited us to her Andy, and we went to a gaming arcade, which was just sort of like free play all night. Everything was entirely covered with alcoholic, sort of like hand sanitizer constantly. There was hand sanitizers by every machine. The staff kept on going around spraying everything. The toilets were pretty well done. There wasn't that many people there either. It was quite nice. I felt very safe. But in the airport, so I went to Southampton Airport to go up to Leeds Bradford. The airport was a ghost town. There was like 5 people I saw there in total, including security. Well, actually, no, there's 3 security guys behind the security desk. When I went through security. It's a small airport, Southampton, anyway. There was like no one there. There was no one in the shops. There was an attendant in one of the shops, and that was about it. And then there was a couple of people working the gates for the aircraft. But there was like 3 passengers total. And then for my flight, there was only 3 passengers. And that was weird because we had to bring some of our luggage from the hold into the plane, so the plane balanced properly, apparently. The plane's only like a 12 passenger plane or something like that anyway. It's like really tiny plane. And then I went up there and we did crossbow, pew, played with crossbows, shot at targets, and then we did quad bikes. And I've never done quad biking before, and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I quite like quad biking. I'm quite small, so my center of gravity can move pretty easily. So I quite enjoyed quad biking. Yeah, it was a great weekend. And on the way back, again, there was like 3 people on my plane. They didn't know if my flight had been cancelled or not. My ticket was invalid, they said, and I was like, okay. And then they had to phone through it and said, yeah, your ticket's valid, mate, but they were not getting any announcements and there's nothing on the board, so just go to your plane at this gate at this time. I was like, okay. Typically, I'd hope information would be relayed on screens and things, but it wasn't really happening, and there was no announcements, so I just sort of like had to live in hope. It was a weird experience. It was a weird experience traveling when no one is around, and everyone's terrified. Half the people I saw were wearing face masks. I'm very much of the opinion that everyone just needs to chill as much as possible, relax as much as possible. I'm washing my hands a little bit more frequently than I would normally in the catering industry. So just every major action I do, I wash my hands, make sure I spray down my doorknobs and packages when I get them. I'm slightly overcautious, but I'm not. I mean, I look after my dad, who is immunocompromised and has a respiratory problem, so I want to make sure he doesn't get it if possible, or if he does, he gets it at a time when the NHS is not strained and knows as much as they can about any viruses. So wash your hands, be sensible, don't overly panic, just be careful. Don't panic buy stuff. There's no reason for that. I'm sorry that I'm talking about it. I'm sure a lot of people have heard it constantly before. I just don't want people to panic too much. Like, just be sensible. The reason that there's no toilet roll on the shelves is because people are fucking idiots. And they panic buy. And they go, oh, I know, I need to get this. And they're panic buying so early that it's creating a chain of panic buying. And I'm super cautious with all that stuff. So it was weird. It's just weird. Weird times we live in, but I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope everyone is doing safe. I love you guys very much. Because, you keep me in a job by watching me. I want everyone to be as safe as possible. But yeah. If you'd like to ask a question brackets. I thought I'd go through everything that's happened to me in the last couple of days as we start. What else is there? Oh, so the guy that came to upgrade my internet this morning, he used to be a speedrunner streamer. He was like, oh, I might get back into it now. Gonna have a kid. My wife sort of like wants me to stay at home. And it's like, oh, actually, that's not an awful option if you're going to stay at home anyway. Streaming in your spare time and stuff is good, and if you really enjoy it, then maybe you'll be able to make a business out of it. Gave him my card and chatted to him, so hopefully I'll see him at some point again. So I was going to do a video if the virus stuff was going to interfere with CIG's roadmaps and Squadron 42 and general development and the studios. So I've talked to, I actually saw Cameron, who's one of the employees at CIG. He used to do their events, but now he sort of like looks after all the employees, making sure that that's sort of like a well-being of the employees and like ups productivity and stuff. He's a good chap. He like does the internal events effectively and stuff like that. I talked to him a little bit about what their coronavirus policy was to an extent of what he could tell me, because obviously, as he's my friend, I literally actively do not push him or ask him about anything Star Citizen, because it would put him in a position where he's not allowed to talk to me about it, and I shouldn't push for it because he's my mate. But I said, so do you have coronavirus policy and stuff like that? And they say, yeah, we've got quite a sensible one. I think a lot of companies have got quite complex ones. But they've... have I got autofocus on my camera? But they're just basically going through the sensible options for their employees. It's nothing too panicked at the moment. But yeah, I mean, CitizenCon. If certain measures are taken, then that could be under threat. If the government there, state in LA or the US in general, says no gatherings are over 500 people or 100 people or something, then that's going to cause issues. We might have to do it all remotely. I mean, there'll be ways around it. Now, that's an events thing. That's a Bar Citizen thing. Star Citizen is pretty big and pretty close-knit with its community, as in they will go to these events. They'll go to Bar Citizens. They'll want to do stuff together. So that is a shame if some of that stuff gets locked down for a while. But it's not unrecoverable by any means. I mean, lots of people can play, online and chat online, and they don't have to meet socially. It's more of a hit to me. I love going to socializing and stuff like that, so it makes me sad. But again, that's not mega awful. They can do it all remotely. They can do a remote CitizenCon if they had to, all videos and all live from the studio and that sort of thing. Is it going to affect development? Well, to an extent, yeah. Some people are going to have to work from home. Certain countries are going to have certain rules and certain things that are going to change things. It could slow some stuff down. People might get sick, so they might have productivity issues. I mean, it's not going to be huge. Probably not going to be huge. But it's certainly going to have some effect on the company and some effect on development, as all industry is going to be affected. Is it going to affect people buying ships and buying stuff? Well, yeah, because they're going to have less disposable income to purchase ships and that sort of stuff. Yeah? So there's a load of stuff like that to consider, and it's all going to have some effect. I mean, we can't possibly know what sort of effect, but we can look at what CIG have got planned and what the government sort of like plans are for stuff. I mean, there's another argument to be said. With more people working from home, there's going to be more people watching YouTube videos, more people being bored, and more people playing computer games. I mean, Italy have given everyone a specialist men's viewing hub Premiere subscription for free, I think, the whole of Italy. I was like, what? Why can't we live in Italy? So, with all of these sort of like theories on how people react and what might happen down the lines, there's sort of like a mixture of some upsides and some downsides. Financially, the countries of the world are going to be worse off for like GDP and stuff. Could it benefit me, more people being at home and watching more videos? Potentially, but then there's also going to be a knock-on effect of maybe I'll get more views, but maybe there's less advertisers willing to advertise and put money in for Google revenue. There's less people to give donations. There's so many things. So, as with all things in life, you sort of like need to be a bit dynamic. And I don't know. I say make the right decisions for you, as long as it's not panic buying my toilet paper. I didn't realise that I was going to have to start wiping my ass with seashells. 3 shells. toilet paper. I don't know. Who knew we were going to have that sort of economy after Brexit, eh? Humans go figure, indeed. That is certainly a reason to get NordVPN, so you can say that you live in Italy. That's a good point. Free subscriptions. Oh man, I didn't even think of that. That's smart. You smart. I need to look into the legality of that, but I hope everyone is doing all right. I am going to tell people that I'm streaming. That's a good idea. I am streaming. Oh, thank you so much, Ash. I love you. Yeah, I am streaming. Thanks, Ash. On Twitter. I want to say I'm streaming on Twitter. I are streaming www.twitch.tv/BoredGamer UK. Talking about the Star Citizen stuffs. BoredGamer. Hashtag Star Citizen. Hashtag the Squadron 42. Squadronet. http:// Yes. Bam. Perfect. No, I've undone. Yes. Easy. Easy game. So, I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to get an office tour with CIG because of the that virus going around as well. Like, I'll ask and see what's sensible. Maybe I'll go in a full hazmat, so not to infect other people. And that's the other thing. Like, I was away this weekend. I don't want to give it to my parents, so I've sort of semi-isolated myself from my in the upper of my house. So they don't have to be here if they don't want to be. But, you know, it's sort of looking after my dad. I don't want to exile him. Oh. But I hope everyone is doing fine, not overly panicked. So yeah, this is the Squadron 42 vertical slice in the background. We had some information about Squadron 42 and its roadmap moving forward. Let me bring this up so we can talk about this a little bit more. Radmap. No, on a roadmap. Oh, thank you very much. The Sleep. When can we expect a rework of space stealth gameplay? So, CIG have been working on scanning updates and scanning upgrades and physicalized components. These are needed, really, before you actually see balanced stealth gameplay. Because then your signatures can be managed, and they matter, and there's even stuff with the iCache and tracking actual items more effectively. That's all sort of plays into it. So stealth is actually more sort of subtle in Star Citizen. It's not a I press my cloaking button, although there is a reduce all the sort of systems to low stealth button. But the idea is you manage your systems and the environment to mean that you are not detected. That's the idea there. And you will be able to buy certain items and equipment for your ships, and hulls and paint and all that sort of stuff that will help with that. But they have downsides as well as upsides. So it's literally about being detected. And you will see, and even in the UI updates, are going to help with that to an extent. So that is something that's subtly being put into Star Citizen over the next couple of years, more and more and more, and expect to see a better stealth system this year with updates. But nothing specific that they've said, this is stealth, for ships anyway. There's more stealthy elements that's going in for FPS, so reactions of you throwing a bottle and it smashing and an NPC going, what the hell was that? And sort of on, rather than on alert, because they're sort of more aware and they go towards the sound. But if they had seen you, then they'd be on alert, which is a little bit different. Sort of the idea of that. Redlack, thank you very much for the sub, very much appreciated. So, Squadron 42 roadmap. So this is what's been talked about a lot over the last few days. So the way they convey this information, as I keep on saying this every time I was doing a Squadron 42 roadmap, a lot of these sort of features that are getting completed these chapters, they cannot tick them as completed until a lot of other stuff has been completed. But they can work on all the other parts. And then once the core tech of, like, once they finish off the hair of a character, then all the other characters' hairs are finished and they can mark all these boxes as complete. But that might not be done until the Squadron 42 is almost complete. So we didn't see this sort of, like, a linear progression properly here. It's all being, like, worked on in parallel. So it was not a good way of conveying it to us, because you look at it and go, well, they're massively behind on what they need to be. Surely this progress hasn't moved in months and months and months. But obviously there's also the features section, which is what I was using typically to see what was being worked on. And this has obviously seen progress as they work towards getting a feature complete beta. Still marked for Q3 2020 for feature complete beta of Squadron 42. I'll have to see if that's the case. Maybe that will change significantly. But basically what CIG have said is because they're working on everything in parallel and they're quite secretive about Squadron 42, that there's not the correct sort of like dissemination of information there. And they want to actually get that to us as best they can with Squadron. So they're going to rework the way they do the Squadron 42 roadmap and the way that they give us that information. And yeah, the more information, the better. I don't necessarily care about spoilers for Squadron 42. They're saying that there's characters they haven't shown us yet, actors they haven't shown us yet, locations and ships, and they've been working on ships for an alien race in Squadron 42 that they haven't told us about. So, I mean, that could be the Banu, that could be the Tavaran, that could be the Xi'an, that could be the Kurthak. I mean, that could be more Vandal ships, to be honest, as well. But there's lots and lots of secret-y stuff for Squadron 42 they don't want to tell us. And that means that... Oh, I don't want to start waving a box cutter at people. That is quite frustrating when you're a backer that cares more about Squadron 42 than Star Citizen, or you want to see progress and you want to see the roadmap updates, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense. You're not giving us anything tangible beyond the newsletters and monthly reports, and occasionally marking off a card that's in the PU anyway. So they are going to be giving us different Squadron 42 information. They're going to be giving it to us better. I've been in China for a couple of years. This is from Shite. And I can tell you this will not be the last new virus out of the country. And we all constantly pays the cost of the... Oh, shite. It's... It's... Liberate the world, drop China. I don't know if I could say that sentence. I feel that's very polarizing, although I may or may not agree with you. Yeah, so there's obviously some friction between different government types, and some government types may not be in the best interests of their people, in my opinion. So, in some ways, I agree with you there. Not so ways. However, more generally in viruses and stuff, obviously, as we expand to a population towards 10 billion people, which is what we can probably support 10 to 12 billion people on the planet with the sort of like current technology, if we actually think about farming and agriculture and stuff. As we move towards more and more people, there are going to be more and more viruses and colds and stuff like that. So, obviously, money and research and effort spent into disease research, healthcare, all that sort of stuff, the human genome, biology, all that sort of stuff is incredibly important. But I respect your opinion, Shite, although I can't share anything politically really on my channel beyond that. I'm really sorry. Like, I'd like to be able to talk about politics on my channel, but things like that, they make me uncomfortable to talk about as I'm worried more about YouTube or other people getting polarized. I'm more worried about YouTube getting polarized than other people. I don't mind people getting polarized. That's fine. As long as people are having a civil discussion about stuff, I think everything's on the table. Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that, though. I appreciate the money. Thanks, mate. Love your face. See? Put me in an awkward position somehow. Like, oh, God. But yeah, Squadron 42. Give me more information on that. Hashtag liberate Squadron 42. The other thing at the moment is 3.9 is in Evocati. Or at least was in Evocati, maybe in Evocati. So, yeah, 3.9 went to Evocati on the weekend. And hopefully we'll see a Wave 1 for the PTU soon. We could see it, in my opinion, as early as this weekend. I do think they had some problems with the getting 3.9 to the Evocati stage. I would have expected it to start a week earlier than it did, personally. Yeah, so 3.9, looking forward to it. Going to First Wave PT so I can actually talk about it. I mean, there's people have shown leaks everywhere, but I'm unable to talk about those and the specifics of those. Anything that's to do with Evocati, can't talk about those leaks. So, yeah. I can talk about 3.9 in general, though. There's load of questions. So I will go through some of these. Go through these first. Anything? Hello. You right, Eradicator, mate? Mate, I'm very much looking forward to playing the Idris mission in 3.9. I know you are under NDA, but the trader would like to know if there are trade outposts on Microtech and Moons yet. I would expect them for 3.9 live. That's what I'll tell you. I'd expect new outposts, new areas to trade, and new a little bit of a new trade balance. But I'd expect that for 3.9 live. And beyond that, I can't talk about specifics of I can't talk about specifics of Evocati full stop. So, sorry. Other people in chat might be able to help you though. Or specifically the stuff that's happening now. All right, let's go to the top here. Oh. So there is no confirmation, as far as I'm aware, whether 3.9 is going to have a wipe or not, a persistence wipe. Now, there have been some exploits in 3.8.2 and 3.8 and 3.8.1. That's mean that people could have made a huge amount of money from just exploiting bullshit stuff, especially duplicates and things like that. So bear that in mind. I would expect a wipe, just because of how sort of rampant that was. I try not to cover exploits on my channel beyond mentioning them, that there is a problem or an exploit, because I don't want to, propagate that information out if CIG fix it quick. So CIG are not incentivized to fix exploits quickly at the moment. Like if it was a live game in a less alpha way, you would expect as soon as you hear about this exploit, it would be fixed, and then people that had used that exploit may get punished or stuff removed. But if it's only a tiny amount of people, then maybe nothing would have happened. But because it's a little bit more widespread than that, CIG have got to potentially do a wipe, and I'm not sure what that tracking's like without the iCache and full persistence. I'm not sure how they can track what's actually happening on players' accounts. So, question in brackets, and I'll be able to pick it out from what's going on here. You're right, Andrew Hickenbottom. I've just got to where you said, hey, Bordeaux. Will we land on Mars before Star Citizen is finished? Land people on Mars? Before it's finished? Define before it's finished. Because Star Citizen, even after it's released, is going to be planning to sort of like support it for like 10 to 15 years at least. So I think that Star Citizen will still be going and getting updates after we land on Mars. Did my cup of tea give consent though? Yes. I'm not doing that joke just in case someone takes offence. Actually, I'm in a weird mood today. I'm in a weird mood. I've been sort of like extra cautious about that virus stuff because I don't want my parents to panic. My parents are really panicked about it, and I want to be able to say at every stage, I have done everything I can that a sensible, not mad human being would do to make sure that you don't get it. I've also now become a little bit overly sensitive about everything else in my life. I asked this the last time the Then the Navy called before I could hear your response. Are ships too expensive or unnecessary to purchase with real cash, so it doesn't matter? Ships are unnecessary to purchase with cash beyond a starter pack, and too expensive to purchase with cash, in my opinion, in 99% of circumstances. Ships are super expensive, you don't need to buy them, and in fact, for some people, you're going to slightly spoil your enjoyment of the game by doing that, because you sort of, some people that've got a load of time to play the game and want to play the game will want to grind up to get it, and you don't need to spend that money. You might as well spend money on hardware or something else. If you've got spare disposable income and you want to help support the game and you want to ship with that, great. Those are the reasons to buy a ship. If you're in love with it, you're just like, I really want that. That's my hobby. I really want that. I really want to support the development, and I've got it spare. Great, support it. But are they worth it? Are they worth it? As in a single tangible good, if you're not getting the fuzzy feeling of helping to support development? No, individually they're not. At least from my point of view, they're not. I mean, it is a relative sort of like opinion. Will you join me for pizza in the verse one day, bud? Kenneth, I'm going to make sure that when 3.9 comes out, as long as the desync is not fucking terrible, as long as it is playable with friends, that I will be online much more regularly during the days to record B-roll, but also I will be streaming gameplay, hopefully from the end of this month, that people can get involved with that are on my Discord, that are in the chat, and we just do some social stuff in chat, so I can do stuff in-game while chatting. That is cool. That's what I want to start doing, and I want to start scaling that up as we get more and more reasons to play and fight and stuff like that. So yes, I will hopefully join you in game for pizza one day. Because 3.9, we're about to eat it. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to Vulkan integration. They are working on a load of the renderer stuff and Gen 12, the DirectX 12 stuff, and Vulkan integration is probably the most major thing. Everyone only spent $45 on the game. Would Star Citizen and Squadron 42 be better? Or perhaps different? Potentially even worse? They would have less money for development, and that would have changed the scale and how they did development. So that might have meant that we're further down the line on certain things. It's hard to tell whether that's better or worse, and again, those are relative. But the development would certainly be different. I think Star Citizen would probably have more positive press and less negative press if they only had $45 packages. Because they would talk about, Star Citizen could really easily sell ships and make a load of money, but they decided not to. That sort of thing. Do you see what I mean? So it's very much a what if question, a fantasy question. But the problem is we just don't know. We certainly would have a different development cycle. Will bounty hunters claiming bounties send people to prison, or will it clear their bounty as before? So, we know that when security kills you in 3.9, that you get sent to prison. They may have it as well if you get killed while someone is bounty hunting you because you're a naughty boy. You might go to prison as well in 3.9. Don't know that for sure yet. But the surrender mechanic is not in 3.9 now. It's going to be pushed back to 4.0. In the future, I would expect for sure that if you get killed or surrendered to a bounty hunter, then you get put in prison straight away. Again, fade to black is the plan in 3.9 in the short term anyway. And then spawn in prison. So that shouldn't clear your criminal rating is the idea. Do you think Wood could possibly see our first medium science ship made by Origin, their Goldfish or whatever? So the Goldfish sort of like does sound potentially like a science ship or an underwater exploration ship, or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So I would expect to see a medium science ship in the game. But beyond that, I don't know anything. Yeah, so one of the worries about all the virus stuff is that my dad's recovering from cancer, so I don't want him to get it. And obviously, he had a lung operation, so he is high risk. Docking, screen, hologram, etc. When it feels really cheap to switch to third person when docking. I want something visual in my cockpit. So there is going to be a low resolution, or at least they plan to have a low resolution camera that sort of like looks at the ground that you can see on your ship HUD at some point, and ways to be able to land your ship without going to third person. Because third person, to some extent, we're not sure how diegetic that is without having a drone fly behind you, showing you third person or having a camera there. Do you see what I mean? So expect improvements with that. When will we be able to store our inventory in our ships and lock out and then retrieve them with food and liquids in our storing rooms? So we need physicalized inventory / components for that. It's more sort of like physicalized inventory sort of thing. Obviously, we've got the personal commodity inventory, which is a step towards that. We've got the iCache coming later this year, which is a step towards that as well, and full persistence. So, don't know when we'll get it. Almost certainly in 2020, though. And they keep on showing it off in videos, like putting and taking out costumes and suits and stuff from a hangar, from a locker. Probably asked a lot, when do you personally expect we might be able to control turrets on certain ships like the Mercury? Control turrets? So, obviously, manned turrets, you need to go in them to be manned. We might be able to get AI blades and modules put into ships so they automatically fire light point defense systems or quite dumb NPC turrets. Also, be able to put NPCs in those manned turrets. Some turrets may potentially be able to be slaved, so that you can control them from the pilot chair or remote control them. Some turrets are going to be able to be remote controlled. To what extent what every turret will be able to do or not do, I don't know yet. I'm not sure if CIG know yet. On Spectrum now, some folks are upset that the Star Runner now has heavy armor. What's your take on this change? I need to see it in my hands. Like, I don't mind it having a reasonable amount of like medium to heavy armor. I mean, sort of makes sense as long as it doesn't slow the ship down too much. I sort of imagine it being a blockade / smuggler ship running through fire. Sort of how I imagined it. I don't want it to be an eggshell. But we need it in our hands before we make a decision. We can talk about it and say, I prefer it not to have heavy armor because this is the way I envision it. That sort of stuff's fine. I like that. But we need the physical damage system as well in before armor is even a real thing. Isn't time we had an eject cargo button plus a decompression button? I would also like to see a decompression chamber. What say you? So they sort of want you to be able to open doors in your ship, I believe, when you're in certain like areas. So to potentially open the cargo bay door and it would decompress. The room system's sort of like the major part of that. So they wanted explosive decompressions, but they haven't talked much about it recently. We know the room system's important, and obviously they're doing player status system stuff, which is taking the room system into account. That sort of like understands the atmosphere in the heat and temperature of the area in the oxygen that it's got, the sort of like composition of the atmosphere. So remote buttons in your ships to do stuff. Yeah, probably in the future they want security, sort of like MFDs that you can set permissions for people as well. Sorry, I got out of breath there. When will the PTU be available for us non-Evo guys? Potentially later this week. So we are waiting on first wave PTU basically, so that Eva Carly can talk about stuff without it being a leak. And then that will get the RSI subscribers in and concierge in as well. As early as the end of the week would be my expectation. But it depends on what state the PTU's in. Is it worth testing beyond its current state? Because typically in the Avocado phase, there's a huge amount of problems that need to be solved. What's the big news with Star Citizen right now? 3.9, the next major patch, should be released at the end of March. CIG have acknowledged that their Squadron 42 roadmap was not ideal, as in the way it was conveyed to us, so they are reworking a load of that. Did you hear about the sales team based in Yorkshire? They specialise in leads generation. I hate you. Will the Carrack be able to scan for minerals? Yes, in the future. So they will have the ability to have different ship scanners on different ships, and that some scanners are going to be better at doing things than others. So you'll be able to go, this scanner is really good at detecting minables. Cool. Scanned a big minefield with my Carrack. I'm going to sell that information to someone that wants to mine. Can I do FPS mining after scouring the rocks with my Carrack? Well, I mean, you can, but you can do FPS mining without scanning the rocks with your Carrack? Are you saying, can you detect minables with your Carrack? Is that what you're trying to say? And you will be able to in the future. Will there be a wipe for 3.9? We don't know yet for sure, but there was exploits in 3.8, this branch, and 3.8.2 that make that quite likely. If Squadron 42 doesn't come out in 2021, and CIG might have a problem with funding, likely down this year because of the whole world economy going doo-doo. I mean, there is a possibility. So I think at the moment, Squadron 42, based on the roadmaps and stuff like that, look like it's potentially coming out Q1, Q2 of 2021. That would be my current expectation. Still not impossible that would come out at the end of 2020. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible. At least from my point of view. Yeah, and as I said, the funding and development of the game may be affected a bit by the virus, but we're not sure how much. Is it a huge amount? Is it a tiny amount? I'm not sure if I said Jaden Catterall, thank you very much for the sub, but thank you very much for the sub, Jaden Catterall, mate. Much appreciated, mate. You star, thank you. Thank you, Shite, and thank you, The Sleep. Or as I call you, this spill peel, typically. But yeah, so we don't know to what extent that's going to affect development. It might take a little bit. I wouldn't expect it to be huge. Not yet, anyway. People can work from home. 3.9 is planned to come out at the end of March. Yeah, so tractor beams are sort of being prototyped at the moment with some stuff with the multi-tool. I'm sorry, a lot of people have actually lost their jobs and stuff because of the current crisis. Tractor beam attachments to the multi-tool. Okay. Person to person payments in 3.9. No. No person to person payments in 3.9 beyond using the service beacon system like we've already had. That functionality will come in the future for person to person transactions. Maybe pirates will be less bored and able to negotiate. If so, they bring them incentive to higher security. Expect some updates to piracy gameplay in 3.9 that'll make it more worth their while. Stuff to do with like getting cargo off other people's ships, even NPC ships. Much more incentivized to loot them. They're also doing some obviously stuff with the prison system. I expect there to be a bit more stuff going on with piracy and player PvP gameplay because of piracy and the lawful players sort of like interacting with each other. Is there any word on whether or when Star Citizen will have native support for Linux? I would expect to see more information on that after Vulkan integration has been done. And they're working on that at the moment. Did you hear about the guy from Eve that lost £5,000 in cargo from his mining vessel? No, I did not. That's interesting though. I like some of the Eve stories with like, because I used to be a reasonably, I used to play Eve quite a lot. I used to do like alpha strikes and stuff and gate blockades and stuff. I used to do some piracy, just like the low risk, high reward stuff. Kind of doing a bit of everything over the last 14 years with Eve. So sensibly, and luckily, I don't say sensibly because we didn't know. I took all of my savings that were in stocks and shares. I put them into cash ISA, waiting on what was going to happen with the economy. So I moved everything out and put it onto the side. I was like, I'll invest once we have stability again. So most of my money was pretty safe. Do you think we'll get a beta for Squadron this year? So I think they'll potentially see an internal beta for Squadron this year. We won't get it though. Like that's the feature complete beta that CIG have planned for Squadron 42 is for them, not for us. Do you see what I mean? Squadron 42 is not an open world game like Star Citizen. You are in the military. You have to do things. It's partly on rails. There's a lot of freedom within that, but it's a single player game with a good amount of freedom. It is not open world. Massive world. Cloud Imperium is on the verge of being 6 months behind their roadmap again. I mean, they're not. They just update it and reschedule it. I mean, the roadmap is sort of like they're always on track with the roadmap. They just change it. You could argue that there's features that keep on moving off it. Yes, 100%. I'm just being pedantic more than anything there. When do you think we'll see the cards for 4.2? A couple of weeks after 3.9 is released. When do you think the Banning Merchantman will be done? End of next year would be my expectation for the Banning Merchantman, just because of the way they've rescheduled stuff. I would expect to see some stuff starting about it later this year, though. This was like something they'd probably show at CitizenCon or during the anniversary sale. There's like, let's have a look at some updates on the Banning Merchantman. Will I get to play the finished game before I get Chrono? Oh, no. No. Hi, I'm new to PC gaming, and I've always wanted to try Star Citizen. Would you recommend someone jump in now? Is there anything to do in game? So there's a lot of stuff to do in game, but at the moment, Star Citizen is very much a alpha game where your feedback is really important, and you're testing out these systems and mechanics and exploring and finding bugs and giving feedback on stuff. So you're kind of more like a volunteer QA tester, and you're helping develop this game. So every 3 months there's a major update, and you could keep on coming back to that to see what's new as a tourist. And as like a tourist attraction, the game is amazing. You just go, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. I've done this for like 20 hours. Now I'm going to go play Mass Effect again. You see what I mean? If you join an organization, then you can have thousands of hours of in-game gameplay now. So like people organizing their own things to do in the game, great. It's great fun for that. But you want to be in a group for that. So your mileage may vary. What are you most looking forward to in 3.9? Quite a lot of it is the Idris mission now. Prisons. Prisons are probably the thing I'm looking forward to the most, I think. Have a look. There's supposed to be some pretty good AI updates. Not massively sort of like... I mean, the AI updates are pretty big if they work. I'm not sure how much I'm looking forward to the player status system and food and drink. Like, I know they're important, but I'm not sort of like, yeah, I'm really excited about having to eat. I think it's cool, but Modern Yogurt, greetings and salutations. I've been following you on YouTube. Really like your content. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated, mate. They showed the Prowler with technology that maintains the atmosphere in the ship. Would other ships not have the same tech? Yeah, so that's the air shield. So they there's a little bit of fantasy and bullshittery going on in their games where they go, well, the air shield tech is Tavaran, so we want to make this ship distinctly different from others, so we're going to have air shields in Tavaran ships. I think every other ship in the game should have the air shield tech as well, but it doesn't. That's the route that CIG have gone down. How far are we from landing a Carrack somewhere on a planet and leaving it there without being despawned eventually? I want a private base. So 4 persistence is potentially going to allow for that to stay there for a long time. And even if you weren't there with it, once you logged back in, it would respawn there, if you see what I mean. So later this year, we might have something like that. And that's sort of like what they want with the iCache and full persistence and things. Better tracking of important objects and more persistent objects. Do you think the Prowler will be on sale again before it gets released? It'll be on sale definitely when it gets released. Do you think there'll be some cheaper pledges with the Carrack? Unlikely, no. No. Will people be panic buying ships to keep them occupied during lockdown? I mean, you're joking a little bit about that, Andrew Higginbolton. But I do think that people get bored and people want to do, they'll watch movies, they'll get Netflix, they'll buy computer games. Would you be in favour of a military module for the Carrack, say 2 pods, converting them torpedo launcher sort of, okay, yeah, weapons mods and torpedo modules? Potentially. I like the idea of modularity on ships, and even if it's not the focus of the ship, giving it some extra functionality is a good idea. And you could give it like some of the retaliators, sort of like torpedo bays. I quite like that. Could you put a explanation of the iCache into the layman's terms? So yeah, the iCache is the item cache. It tracks all the items in a game in a sensible sort of database that can then have their locational information move, change, be saved, and be easily recalled by the server and stand by the server. And it's sort of like can be updated on the fly so that as it moves, it gets saved. That's the idea. As simple as that. It's needed for a huge amount of the game and for like server meshing and full persistence and all that sort of jazz. Yeah, so it works in conjunction with object container streaming to list what's in those objects. And it has all that information saved. Unfortunately, I can't talk about specifics of leaks regarding either Kati patch leaks. So, like, data mined information, I'm happy to always talk about, unless it's been data mined from an Eva Kati patch, which I can't. Sorry. So I've joined a help. What the fuck is it called? Bear with me 1 second. I need to find this. Oh god, I've just deleted the page. So I found this, which is sort of cloud processing using your GPU to help research things like, viruses. So that's obviously the current focus of some of the stuff. Folding at home, sort of like consumer power to help with research into these sort of like things, which I think is like, well, I'm happy to give some of my GPU rather than grinding bitcoins with it. I'm happy to, put it to something a bit more beneficial to humanity. I might make a BoredGamer team and encourage people to do it in a video actually at some point, but hoping this would help and was a sensible thing to do. Why don't we have the Owl series in the Persistent Universe even though they're complete in Squadron 42? Because they might be complete for Squadron 42's needs, but that's different for the Persistent Universe. They haven't updated the cargo version 2 yet, so that's literally iCache and different cargo containers that can be much larger, so there's not as many small single entities on the server. They need ship-to-station docking so they can actually spawn and dock the whole sea when it's expanded to a station. And they're obviously building cargo decks as well, which is a new card on the roadmap for 4.1 for potentially that purpose. And they need morphing physics grids to be finished. So this is going to be like when the ship contracts and decontracts, that needs to work in multiplayer properly. They need all that before they can get the Hull C into the Persistent Universe. How do you plan on approaching the Idris mission? I just want to get the rest of the chain, 5 or 6 missions, and the Arlington Gang mission completed, and then get grouped together for it. I'll do it in lots of different ways. I'll try and probably try and rush it with a group of a lot of people that are significantly better than me to start with and see who's around. And then I'll try and do it on my other accounts by getting as many people in that want to do it. And then I'll be joining other people doing it as well. So I'll do it in lots of different ways with groups that are a bit derpy to people that are really, really, really tryharding it. I've never taken an interest down before myself, so I'll have a look to see what's viable. Obviously, it's got a huge health pool, and you're going to need to do a significant amount of damage per second to actually just break through its shields in general. So torpedoes are probably going to be useful, but maybe loads of hammerheads would also be pretty good because you both get a lot of lasers into that, and they're not going to need to go back for ammo or torps. But maybe you're going to want a load of eclipses, firing torpedoes at it, and then going to resupply and then come back. So lots of different ways of approaching that, and I'm not sure which way I'm going to do it yet. It's very possible that other people will come up with better ideas than I possibly could have. I'll just steal their ideas. Like I do with my YouTube videos. La 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 la, pew pew pew! What else have we got here? Wanted to thank you for what you did for the Black Star Initiative. No worries. They're a good bunch of guys. Thank you very much, Rambling Ram. After upgrading your ship when filing an insurance claim, does it go back to stock or you have to still have upgrades? So in the future, so at the moment, well, in the future, I suppose because you're talking about insurance and it doesn't really exist properly in game yet. Not properly anyway. We don't know. It's basically what it is. You should be different. You should have the ability to have different types of insurance. You should be able to insure your hull and weapons and gear and equipment separately is the expectation. So if you only insure the hull of your ship, the lifetime insurance would probably just be for the hull of your ship. If you have lifetime insurance, and you'll have to insure your changes and equipment separately. So bear that in mind. We're not sure if we're going to get a wad of money if your ship gets destroyed, or if they're going to replace the ship after a certain time if your ship gets destroyed. If the AI will be fixed in 3.9. There are plans to address issues with the AI in 3.9. There There are updates to the AI in 3.9, especially with pathfinding and that sort of jazz. And they're working on like desync and better integration of server-side object container streaming. So maybe. We don't know until it's in our hands, for sure. I'd expect lots of fixes, but lots of new problems as well. My head is aliased. Watch your ETA on the Corsair. It's Drake ship, so it's not super complex. They've got a defined pipeline for it already, which is good. Is it a priority at the moment? Probably not. Could see it next year if they sort of like mark it for some form of priority. The X1 and the Tumble Ranger should be rather quick to make. So when do you expect them? Those little sort of like talks about something Origin concept-y ship or straight to flyable ship or vehicle for 3.9 potentially or nearabouts. So maybe they'll be doing other Origin things at the same time. I do expect to see the Tumble Ranger actually later this year. I'm not sure about the X1 though. Bored my old fruitcake. NPCs are still acting weird, trying to walk through walls. When will they become more realistic? From patch to patch. But there's a lot of updates they need before they are going to be good. They're going to be before they are anywhere near what you'd expect to find in a game. So expect significantly better AI by the end of this year. So I would expect to see the Polaris on sale again at some point this year, and then definitely in November for the anniversary sale. So bear that in mind. I don't know when the Idris is going to be in game. I would expect it to be reasonably high on the priority list for CIG because it's such a popular ship, though. I have a Carrack and I can fit a Buccaneer in it. Oh. But does that mean that I can actually fly with a Buccaneer inside when the game is released? Or will there be superficial limitations? There might be some superficial limitations to an extent. So how is that ship landed in there safely? If it is landed in there safely, you are fine. Okay? If it's a little bit sort of out, or it's a little bit glitched in, or at a weird angle, whatever, then, I mean, if it sits, it fits. Is the idea. So, how dangerous is it? That's another story. Which gameplay will feature first? Full bartender gameplay, loop, ship docking, prison gameplay, or grinding coffee beans for a working coffee pot? Prison gameplay is definitely going to be first on that list. Then I would expect bartender, then ship docking. Do you know if they are doing a bug pass on the Carrack for 3.9? I would expect so, yes. That they do a bug pass on anything that's a viable bug they could look at. I think all the Crusader ships have at least one other variant other than the Mercury. Would you like / expect to see a Mercury Star Runner variant? Why not? So the Genesis is in law, I suppose, has variants, doesn't it? Yeah. Expect lots of different variants of ships in the future, or at least modularity for ships to quite a high degree. So obviously, you're going to be able to customize the equipment and weapons to quite a high degree. Some ships are going to have modularity, and you can obviously put other systems in ships and things like that as well. So we'll have to see how that evolves. What about a pocket carrier conversion for the Carrack? Larger hangar. Maybe we'll be able to swap the cargo pods out for something that can carry little ships or bikes or whatever. Or a ground vehicle. Another one. Yeah, the thing with the iCache is it needs to be able to seamlessly transfer information to and from the server. So it needs to be able to be updated seamlessly. It needs to be transferring that information like incredibly quickly to the server. I appreciate all the love. Thank you, Frankie. Very much appreciated. What's your take on Erin and Brand's responses? Do you feel comfortable with CIG's explanation, or do you think that it's more to it that they don't want to share with us? Can you be more specific, Oliver? So, with Squadron 42, they're not conveying the Squadron 42 roadmap to us as much as we want, but that's sort of partly by design. They are going to start now to start giving us more information and more updates. I'm happy with that explanation. I wish they had given us more information before. I'm pretty chill with those sort of updates because we get a good amount for the Persistent Universe. I'm aware that they want to just release Squadron 42. I wish they would hurry up and give us a release date for it and stick to it. Will it be possible to construct your own ship from scratch? Not at the moment, nor is it a plan at the moment to do that. I would like to see manufacturing to that degree, though, in the future. When do you think the new Origin concept will come out? We don't know. It's possible that it's a straight-to-flyable thing for 3.9, though. Do you think the Constellation series will receive all rework? All ships will continue to get updates and very light touch-ups at the very least. It's possible the reason that we haven't seen the Taurus constellation is because because they might be doing little updates to the rest of the constellations at the same time. Yeah, we'll certainly see more carriers in the game, in my opinion. Why is CIG adding in a fuel type ore now? Is it a hint of being able to refuel player to player soon? Maybe not soon, but it's certainly functionality they want in game, and they want ships to be able to connect to each other to be able to refuel each other. Obviously, there's going to be drone-based refueling as well in the future, but they did talk about this pretty recently. They will make it so that you can hire crew and co-pilots and stuff like that. Yes, in the future. That is a plan. Will they give us the Ares soon? So the Ares is a funny one because obviously there's a bit of a focus on Hercules ships, Crusader ships this year. And I think the Ares is probably doable as it's quite a small ship, pretty simple for them to do. If they're sort of like get to the end of the other ships they've got planned, they just put one of the teams that just finished the Hercules or the C2 or whatever straight onto the Ares. That's a possibility. Crusader Jupiter Carrier is one to look forward to. So yeah, this is a carrier ship in lore from the past for Crusader. They sort of like had their own carrier that they used for themselves, and then other companies wanted to buy them. So we might see the Jupiter Carrier in the future. Sort of makes sense. Any tips on staying interested in Star Citizen as a project? Get involved with the community. Have your say on stuff. CIG produce more information week on week on week, and there's loads of dev responses and there's loads of questions to ask. So the way I keep interested is by asking lots of questions, by reading through information, by looking at other people's responses, looking at what the community is doing, playing the game. There's loads of stuff to do with Star Citizen. I love the project, not just the game. Like, I love the project. I wouldn't be interested in Star Citizen if it was just the game. At the moment, probably. Like, it's the community, it's the way it's the roadmaps, it's the information that CIG put out, it's the fact you can contact the devs, it's all of that together that's interesting for me. There are going to be magnetic mines, or at least mines that travel towards you. I mean, that's what the Nautilus does. For breaching charges and stuff, they are planned for the game as well in the future. So, well, at least they talked about salvage charges before. and they have briefly talked about breaching charges. So like they'd allow you to get into entry points like turrets, docking collar areas, and doors on ships. I think was the idea there when they talked about them. But whether or not that's still a plan remains to be seen. But I think it probably is. Does Squadron 42 still have co-op? I don't think it does at the moment. We'll have to see if they go, well, you can play the missions back co-op. That's the sort of like they were saying, oh, you might be able to replay the missions co-op in the future. I suspect that would be more sort of like a thing that they will put in for Squadron 42. Not Squadron 42, for Arena Commander. So like those replayable missions maybe in the future. We'll have to see what they want to do for Squadron, but replayability of the missions, yeah. Replayability of the multiplayer, So like if you want to play the Star Citizen Experience multiplayer, you play Star Citizen's Persistent Universe, is the idea. Is Squadron 42 still on schedule? I mean, it's still on a schedule. And there's probably going to be delays with it and stuff. I mean, it's Star Citizen, they typically are. At the moment, they're still showing a feature-complete beta for Q3 2020. Will they be able to keep that up? Unlikely. They'll probably get moved at least a quarter back for a feature-complete beta. Could it be a lot more? Yeah, it could be. We don't know at the moment. Can you make your way up to a hammerhead without paying IRL money? So you need to buy a starter package for $45, and then yes. Could the Corsair be coming with Pyro? It could be. I don't think the Corsair is probably going to be ready. I don't think it's going to be ready this year. The plan with Pyro is to have Pyro out in 2020. At least some version of Pyro. What's the fastest way to make money in the starter ship? So there's lots of different ways. You can grind bounties if you like to shoot. I used to do a load of... I just used to fly to Security Post Korea and keep on getting the Security Post Korea, clear the Security Post out of people. Because the NPCs are pretty dumb and pretty easy to clear out. And that was good pay. And then I used to get enough money so that I could get a ship like a Prospector, rent one for a day, and then made lots of money that way. That's what I was doing. Winlord, thank you very much. Zombie Apocalypse Fund. Thank you very much. Rip Cheer. Appreciate it. Are you star? Will the arrow fit in the Carrack? So people have fit larger ships in the Carrack. You can certainly fit ships in the Carrack. Will they allow you to spawn and save them in the short term? I don't know. So when we have ship spawning and the ships and vehicles are properly saved in your other ships, if a ship isn't perfectly fit in, I'm not 100% sure whether the persistent stuff will save it. I suppose it should save it as an object container in the future. What gameplay loops can we realistically expect this year? So the stuff for 3.9, so prisons, deeper updates to mining for 3.9 as well, and then they're going to be moving on to more gameplay loops. So I would expect salvage by the end of the year. There's going to be lots more cargo-based gameplay, in my opinion, because they've got like body dragging and push and pull, and they're doing gravity, tractor beamy type stuff. But gameplay loops that are new, prisons and salvage would be my expectation. And then you're probably going to have lots of little ones, and expanded gameplay for like physicalized damage, physicalized components, the physical damage system, all that sort of stuff. That might like add repair missions and things like that in, but it's not really the repair mechanics. Lots of very minor sort of incursions onto larger mechanics, but nothing proper. Did you get that GTX 2080 yet? So I've got a GTX 2080 Ti currently. And I believe Azatec have sent me a computer system that I'm waiting for at the moment, an Alienware system that also has a 2080 Ti in, which I'm planning to do some videos on when it arrives. Is there a plan to handle full docking bay in Spaceport, Bolosar, etc. If all landing pads are occupied? You'll see different stations with different setups. Beyond that, I don't 100% know. Like, there's going to be proper hangar bays in Grimhex, for example. I think we're right, Trent. I went in German as well. I think he says, put question at the beginning of questions if you want Bored to talk. The arrow will fits for... Yes, so the... Yeah, so they will be decoupling chips, sort of like landing modes from actually the landing gear loading. So I believe that the arrow will be able to fold its wings up separately from dropping its landing gear. I think they're decoupling all that sort of jazz. You are so dreamy, Bored. Thank you very much, Bad Booberry. Or am I nightmare? Wait. Do you think they will see some sort of St. Patrick's Day sale? Yes. I would expect to see green ships / green vehicles on sale this week, like the Phoenix Emerald, things like that. You're not going to see physicalized hangars or anything like that until we have full persistence at the very, very, very earliest, but I would expect that we'd need server meshing for that. Will we have to... will we be able to request ship storage or pay for extra time on the pad before our ships are stored? I would expect something like that in the future. So you get... it's going to be sort of like costs initiated and then a certain amount of time, or it gets despawned. But if there's only people wanting to land there, then that could be very expensive, or it could despawn it very quickly. Or put into storage very quickly. We'll have to see how they... how CIG deal with a lot of stuff like that. Like, even with server meshing, it's still going to have bottlenecks with the amount of players you have in any one given area and the physical space of certain stations. And there's lots of ways they can artificially restrict people coming to areas with costs and with missions and pulling them out of quantum and making them do fights and things. It's an interesting one. It was planned to be able to place small mines, auxiliary fuel tanks, or small EMP charges on missile points and use by that. I don't know what you're talking about. Specifically there. There was talk of ore veins replacing random rocks for mining. Is that a thing or just a rumour? So, more specifically, Monk, what they were talking about is that you'd have veins of ore that have a certain amount of mineral there. So, I mean, okay, assume that it's done in exactly the same way as it is now, visually. So you still mine your ore from those rocks, but they will eventually deplete in that area. And they might respawn there later, like a month's time or something, or other things might spawn there later. But the idea is that that's depleted. You know that there's an ore vein here. You know there's ore that spawns here. And once you mine it all up, it gets less and less and less frequently, respawns there potentially. And then you'd have to go somewhere else to find that type of ore. Hello! You're right, buddy. iDiscovery TV, or iDiscover TV. Greetings, Niptis TV? People with TV in their name. Are you also looking forward to food and hunger system getting implemented? I mean, not necessarily looking forward to it. I think it might be cool, and I mean, I just don't want it to be overly invasive. I don't want to be eating and drinking constantly. I do want to, I mean, I'm fine for adding to the game flavour. Thank you very much for all the messages of love and appreciation. I genuinely do appreciate them. What else have we got here? In more detail, according to the last Chronicle devs, Brian Chambers is now working on Squadron 42, basically replacing Aaron Roberts, who moved to the PU. I mean, they're both. A lot of what they're working on, yeah, is that it's very interconnected, and Aaron is and Brian are still effectively. Well, Aaron is certainly managing a lot of the studio stuff still, and Brian's probably managing a lot of the studio stuff too as well. So. But there is much more of a focus on Squadron 42 at the moment. I'll get some information exactly what Aaron is doing for the company, because I don't know the specifics of that. I know that Brian has moved over to focusing on Squadron 42 stuff, but I mean, it is beneficial for both projects. Any of the work they do on either. Well, I suppose that's not 100% true, but it's largely true. Will changeable components have a time before they are overhauled? So does it take time to replace them if you go to a station and have those components changed out? In the future, almost certainly. If you replace them by hand, that's you replacing them. Yeah, so I'm planning to do lots more playing stuff in-game, or even having just in-game stuff in the background, messing around and chilling, eating food or in a food court or whatever, or doing lots of mission content stuff when 3.9 comes out, as long as there's majorly desperately depressing problems. Like the desync issues for 3.8 at the moment are pretty annoying for me to want to do stuff in-game, but next free flight, I would expect potentially a free flight for 3.9. Any inside news on the M50 update? No. Nothing inside beyond that they're updating its landing gear and stuff like that. Can you explain what server meshing is for us simple people and what gameplay it achieves and affects? So server meshing is core to Star Citizen being an MMO. It allows seamless transfer of data between servers so that they can hand off to a different server. So you can literally move between servers and therefore gameplay area and your character even within the same area, so between rooms in a ship, and then that ship also moving between areas. And so nested object containers effectively can then all be handled by servers individually if necessary, based on the population of those areas. So you can have one person in a ship. Cool. You can have 200 people in a ship, and then two of the rooms or two areas of the ship are split into 100 players each. And then you could have 1,000 people on a planet with that ship on. So that ship's being handled by an object container stream, and handling data between those two. And then it decides the planet is also one, and then going closer to the planet, an area is now handled by an object container streamer, an object container and its own server. It's always handled by the object container, but then the server goes, I'm going to be running this area, and it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and they can nest in each other, and they can have 10,000 people across a server, potentially, or more, because they're all nested in different servers. See what I mean? I explained that very erratically. Bored, I know this is rude and annoying. Could you make it a mental note to ask the right person if they will do a belligerent duck minigame? Or where can I ask? I mean, you can ask in the Spectrum. And Spectrum, there'll be a dev area that you can ask that in if you wanted to. If I ever get the chance to ask, are you making a belligerent duck minigame? I will. Don't you worry. What are some of the best Emergent gameplay scenarios you've seen? So, non-planned Emergent gameplay scenarios I've seen. Jumptown is by far the best. So Jumptown was literally people going there regularly because it was the hotspot for smuggling and getting narcotics. Nom 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 nom. Make a load of money. And then you had people queuing there at one point. Sometimes you'd have servers locked down with an org locking it down and shooting anyone that goes by. Sometimes you have piracy, finding another org that's doing that, and a load of pirates coming in and pew 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 pew. So that was by far the best Emergent gameplay that Star Citizen's had. Downboard, straight, ignoring questions. What the fuck? Look, I can only read some of the questions, and I'm literally looking through anything that says question in it and reading it. What do you want from me? I talked about the virus earlier, but I'll do a quick one. Yes, there could be some impact on the project and gatherings for the project with the virus stuff. So CitizenCon could be in threat because the US could go, well, we're banning gatherings of over 500 people or 100 people or whatever. So that's a possibility. And I'll keep you up to date on that if it becomes relevant. You'll notice content creators at the moment still are sort of like don't really want to talk much about the virus stuff because it can demonetize their channel and videos quite heavily at the moment, and you don't really want that. They should be implementing stuff so people can talk about it more freely in the future. Like I should be able to because I'm good at self-certification with my YouTube stuff. So. When will the next season of the next Great Starship be? So this is an interesting one. So they talked to us. The last information I had from this is from Sandy a couple of years ago, saying once they had Squadron 42 out, they would look at the next Great Starship again. I'm not sure if they want to get community teams involved in making spaceships and armor for the game anymore or not. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the Redeemer, which is much wanted to in its rework now, it caused a lot of issues to CIG because they had to entirely redo it, and they still haven't reconcepted it yet, and all that sort of stuff. We have a real date on 3.9 finally. It's the same date as we've had for a while, which is they plan to have it live for the end of 3.9. At the end of March. 3.9 for the end of March. Live is the plan. Is it going to be an ambassador gameplay, or have they mentioned it? I'm not entirely sure what you mean. If you're talking about taking ambassadors around, they sort of like plan to be VIP missions where potentially you'd be protecting an ambassador or having them travel with you on an 890 jump or something like that. That's the sort of stuff I'd expect. Yeah, I'd expect the next free flight with 3.9. It's going to be dependent on how playable that patch is, though, in PTU. If CIG go, yes, cool, it's a good, fun, playable experience, they'll want to have a free flight. If it's not playable and frustrating, well, they probably won't want to have a free flight. Right. I do appreciate all the love. Thank you, thank you. You got the great work. I will try. What are BoredGamer rewards? You need to be more specific. Oh, so the points in the stream stuff are on Twitch. You can use them to well, you can use them to sort of like highlight questions, so it's more easy for me to see them, things like that, stuff like that. It should tell you a list of them when you click on things. You just freely get points for just watching. I put it in there because I was clicking buttons. So this is the vertical slice from Squadron 42 from 2017, end of 2017, I believe. And this is the Odin system. This is actually should have seen significant visual improvement, and I mean magnitudes of visual improvement. They're currently flying around the coil, which is Odin 1, which went a bit supernova. Well, got a bit blown up. Yes, Pyro this year is the plan. Finally, not working for the first one of your streams. Hello, BoredGamer. Been following Star Citizen for the last 3 months because of your videos. Very close to getting it myself. Keep it up. Thank you very much. I appreciate the love. So it'll be a bit erratic for me this week because I can't cover Evocado patches beyond talking about, yes, the Evocado patch is out. I'm hoping it goes to first wave PTU soon, 3.9, so I can talk about the contents of 3.9 and show you some gameplay and talk about the individual features. And yes, with 3.9 I am planning to do a lot more gameplay stuff on my channel. And again, it's going to be dependent on the patch and how stable it is and how viable it is to do that. I actually mean like making treaties with Devarin, etc. I would expect there's going to be a lot of gameplay in alien systems as well. Potentially you'll be able to buy deeds in the same way that you've got the UE sort of like land deeds. You'll be able to get deeds from the alien territory as well. Maybe there's a load of gameplay and reputation, like with factions, but with the aliens, like the Banu and stuff. I would expect that. Lots and lots of reputation-based system stuff that CIG have not told us yet, which I believe they're working on. Guilds and things. Guilds, literally NPC-controlled orgs that give you benefits for being with them, like Bounty Hunters Guild, for example. A video about the Redeemer and what will happen to the next great starship would be great. Yeah, okay. I mean, I can do a little update on that at some point. The shipyard ordnance. We hope to expand the types of items attached to these ordnance hardpoints. Some of our current considerations are EMP generators, fuel pods, and mines. So yeah, I mean, expect to see the ability to have different modularity and stuff for ships in the future as they expand the ships out, as they add more and more weapons and gear. Do you think the devs should take 1 week break from their current workflow just to finally nail all the pre-existing bugs? I think it's not mutually exclusive. They have teams that are working on flight experience and bugs and stuff like that at the same time. The thing is that when they literally sit down to polish the game before release, that is when a lot of bugs are going to get 100% fixed. Or close to. Do you think the Carrack needs a second ground entrance, such as having a rear elevator extend to the ground level and or a ladder that extends from this side docking port? I'm quite happy with the Carrack. I would like the elevator at the cockpit to extend to the ground, though. Thinking about it. I'd like that. I don't think it needs it, but I'd like that. Robert. Someone said green ships. Pouring sail. St. Patrick's Day, okay. Cool. They got the St. Patrick's Day sales, come on. Don't Tempt Fate. Fortuna, that's St. Patrick's Day in Star Citizen. It's a day to push your luck and find a pot of gold behind the next star, but be careful not to push too hard, as fate can be a moody as a vandal. However, don't hesitate to join us in the dance with Lady Fortuna. The big celebration is just around the corner, and Cougar Intergalactic is ready to party with the all-new P-72 Archimedes Emerald, flyable in Alpha 3.9.1. They've already got 3.9.1 planned. So, Does that mean there's some features getting pushed back to 3.9.1? That's interesting to know. So go green and get ready to jump into the action. See the parade, dance, drink, catch some candy, and reach for the stars just like your ancestors did. A day of green and gold lies ahead of us, and we wish you all luck in the universe. Happy Stellar Fortuna. So, got the P72 green. Okay, it's got little green accents on it. The party ain't over. Galactopedia updates. The Stellar Fortuna, we want to hear what rhymes you have on your limerick lips. So send us one of your slick limericks to win one of 3 gorgeous vehicles. After all, anything can happen on Stellar Fortuna. Aim for the stars of Stellar Fortuna and challenge Fortune with a fun-filled contest to re-establish a 19th century classic from Earth. Raise your glasses and describe your luckiest Star Citizen gaming moment. But not with simple words. Okay, they want rhymes for it. Okay. Going on. Yes. And let me go back here. Let me copy this and paste it to people. It's just on the Robert Space Industries website, though. So what we got at the moment? We've got the P72 with lifetime insurance. Okay. So these are lifetime insurance tokens. You can get the P72 Archimedes Emerald Green for $35. It says 42 here because I've got to pay 20% VAT because I'm in the UK. So for $35, P72, bam. Obviously you can buy it with store credit as well for $40. That's a great lifetime insurance token for people that want that. And what I mean by that is that you can then upgrade when there's a ship sale on, or when a ship that you want is on, or even now, upgrade this ship to something else, and it keeps the lifetime insurance. And then we've got some merch on sale. We've got the Ursa Rover in green on sale. There is a picture of the Constellation Emerald. Can I only get that with the Fortuna pack? I can't buy it separately. I have to get it with the Fortuna pack. The Fortuna pack contains the Emerald, Phoenix, and the P72. What? Cougar P72 Archimedes Emerald. P72 Archimedes Emerald Skin. What? What? It's confusing me. And the Azeroth. I'm not sure why this is a skin, but also a separate full name ship. Okay. Expensive. Pretty picture though. Bear that in mind. Yeah, nice lifetime insurance tokens, but again, you don't need this stuff beyond a starter package to get into Star Citizen. What do you think is the release for Theatres of War? They said the first half of the year, so typically it would be 4.0. Do you think it will release sooner? So I think we will see it in Eva Carty's hands between 3.9 and 4.0's branch. So in between now and June for in Eva Carty's hands. And then opened up to wider testers for 4.0, if not earlier. They can sort of release Theatres of War as a separate sort of thing. It doesn't need to be part of a persistent universe patch, say. Even though it is, but do you see what I mean? Could you please go into as much detail as possible as about wipes and resets in 3.8 and above? I hear that 3.8 plus has the persistent tech now. Can I start earning money now, or will there be more full wipes? There will still be more full wipes. They have long-term persistence now, which means that they can wipe databases, but still save your character data, your persistent data, your UEC purchases, so ships that you purchased in-game, items you've purchased in-game. However, they are still going to do full wipes that remove that whenever they want to. And that can be for testing, that can be to fix bugs, that can be because there's been exploits and they want to clear everyone's databases. And there has been big exploits in the 3.8 branch and 3.8.2 that has allowed a lot of people to gain as much money as they fucking wanted. So it's possible that CIG will either remove that from those players' accounts, reset those players' accounts, or reset everyone's account. I think it's more likely they'll reset everyone's account, even though, you know, it's a bit unfair, but it's just what they do. You have to sort of accept that. And there will eventually be a state where they go, no more resets, full stop, but you are going to see less and less and less resets. I cannot confirm whether 3.9 will have a reset or not. I'd expect a reset for it, though, because of the exploits that were in 3.8.2. If you have a Carrack, can you get the Green Rover skin for it? No, not individually. You'd have to buy a whole... At the moment, you'd have to buy the whole Rover. In the future, you can probably get a skin that looks like it, or that skin, but not yet. Do you think the in-game transaction accounting could be handled by blockchain gameplay? Data runners being paid to compile and transfer information to data center, ship inventory errors. I'm not sure to what extent. That might be a little bit too complicated for my brain, that question you've asked. But I do think there's going to be lots of different types of missions that require lots of people at lots of different stages. Even with delivery missions, they sort of like will be, whether that be data or whatever, science. Yeah, maybe someone finds the location of something or gets data on plants, compresses that information, sells it. That goes to someone else, that then data runs it to here. They should ban idiots that use exploits. Potentially in the future, when the game's live, or when they have a strong policy for that, yes. People that are actively using exploits in the way that could be construed as cheating. There are different levels of exploit. Like, exploits need to be fixed as quickly as possible. People aggressively using exploits to do things, I would just remove that progress from that player's account. Cheating is different. Cheating is permanently banned in my head. You permanently ban them. Exploits, can they be seen as the same as cheating? In some situations, yes. But it's I'd need to really think about what I said with that, because you need to set a policy on it. Hate cheaters. Hate them. Any idea how long the St. Patrick's Day sale will last? I'd expect it for until the weekend. Will the Caterpillar's doors ever reach the ground? Yes. They will be implementing that tech in the future. They will be implementing the ability for it to work properly in the future. Have you heard of any incoming concept sales, or are they pretty much are not doing ones? So they've been moving over to more, at least, straight to flyable sales. So with each major patch and some minor patches, they have ships and vehicles that we didn't necessarily know about, that will go straight on sale. So they're moving more towards that model, but you'll probably still see a good amount of concept ships this year as well. Yeah, so one of the things about exploits is that people finding exploits helps them develop the game and combat them in the future. But I wish that people would talk about them and then CIG fix them immediately. I actively don't cover exploits as like guides on my channel. I will mention them. I might not even tell people the way to do them. Sorry if this has been asked already. Will the 30k bugs be fixed in 3.9? I know that is a part of the focus for 3.9, getting the desync solved, getting server-side container streaming in a better state, and getting the servers more stable. Right, do we have anything else before I'm going to dash off? Because I'm hungry as sin. And I want to make sure my parents are alive. And I wasn't able to set up their Netflix properly. I went back down and it wasn't loading Netflix. And I was like, I need to set them up Netflix and Amazon Video. Think about buying a Hull C next sale. What are your thoughts on what we currently know about the Hull series? Hull series are big trade ships. They're working on them to get them in the persistent universe. The Hull C is completed for Squadron 42's needs. They need to get a load of tech in for the Hull C to be in game. Potentially that could be in this year, though. Ship to station docking, cargo 2.0, the cargo decks, which were in 4.1, and morphing physics grids all need to be completed for Hull C to be in. So bear that in mind, and I think they're going to be great haulers. And that's their main focus. Thank you very much, Premier Boris. You star. Stay safe and healthy. I will try. But yes, right. So we'll talk about that one more quick time. Bam, bam. What am I doing? What am I clicking on? Extras. Here we go. That'll do. So yeah, St. Patrick's Day sale. There's tell us about the best gameplay experience you've had in Star Citizen in some form of limerick or rhyme. The P-72 Emerald is on sale. It is a lifetime insurance ship, and it is $35 plus taxes. So it's probably one of the cheapest lifetime insurance tokens we've ever had, which is great for some people if you want to grab that. I might grab a few. They're great for like me for giveaways. So I buy them and then upgrade back to a different ship later, and then give it away as a ship with a lifetime insurance. You see what I mean? Got the Urza Fortuna as well. So green Urza, green P-72, at least one of the green accents, and then the Fortuna pack, which is incredibly expensive. What was it, $420 or something? VAT, it's hard to work out. Has the Constellation Phoenix Emerald in as well, so the green Phoenix. Yeah. Right. I'm going to go dash off and have lunch and check on my parents and get them set up on Netflix. Thank you very much for watching my stream today. Very much appreciated. I will potentially get a video, a little tiny video out later today after we've seen the This Week in Star Citizen, what's happened and planned for this week. I'll get some little news updates together and stuff like that, and just do a quick little update. And then hopefully tomorrow we'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming with Star Citizen stuff on my channel. But thank you so much for all the support, for the likes, for the subscribes, for the bits, for the monies, Vumilosity, Volumosity, whatever the hell your name is, I love you. Windlord, Shite, The Sleep, thank you, Drop Cop, you're all amazing people. Premier Boris, thank you for the subs, for the monies, for the loves. Let's go find someone to host Twitch. And send them some people. Ah, fantastic. We will go and host Twerk, because I love his face. Sorry, Salty Mike. Let me just make sure that G's not streaming. That would be rude of me not to... Yeah. Let's make sure. That's good. We're going to /raid Salty Mike. Salty Mike is one of my favourite people in the world, especially in the Star Citizen community. He's a good chap. So give him some love. Right. Salty... No, don't raid me. Salty Mike. Bam. Bam. What? Is he hosting me? No! He's raiding me! You're the worst. You're literally the worst. You're raiding me while I'm trying to raid you. So I have to cancel that raid. Oh my god. Who raided who first? He raided me, didn't he? I can't leak the infos. What? I'm looking for someone to... Oh my... You're the worst. I was saying how good you were. Now I've taken that back. Now I've got to spend extra time working out who to host. Oh. I mean, I'm looking at myself now, going, that's a handsome man. Right. We are going to give some love to Super Mac Brothers. Bam. You're the worst. You're the worst. We cross the streams. Then across the streams. Twerk. Sorry, Mike. Rod. We will. I'll give you a message like tomorrow or something. I'd like to get back in contact with you and actually start playing with you and join you on stream and stuff if I can at some point. I love your fucking face, mate. And I've not looked after our relationship and friendship like I should have. And you are a good mate. And you're a content creator I would like to get involved with. Not like I don't want to scissor you or kiss you or something. But I want to play games with you. Anyway, this is awkward. I'm gonna send people to Super Mac Brothers. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Love your faces. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for the raid, Solly Mike. Thanks for the raid. Appreciated.